I'm muted. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Frank. Uh, okay, to summarize what I just said, we're muted half of the time. Okay, so on Tuesday we worked on integrating to the Twitch API to get subscribers because we wanted to show a subscribers goal. How we have a followers goal, we want to do the same thing with subscribers. But the issue that happened when we were integrating to that API is that we needed to support oAuth to be able to do that. So that's kind of what we're going to be working on today. So the goal for today is to so we started on Tuesday adding authentication support to our overlay server. What we're going to be doing today is just continuing working on that and just go through all the different documentation of it, making sure that we have everything that we need to be able to support it. So that includes a redirect endpoint where the Twitch API is going to send us the access code. So pretty much we're halfway there, but the end goal is to be able to get access to the subscribers, to the channel subscribers. And again, so the way it works is that we need to have access to this scope when we request the API, when we make a request to the API. So that's kind of the thing that we're going to be trying to achieve today, is just how do we get access to that token. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. We ended up going through some of our API work, and we added a bunch of tests to support it. But let's see. Yeah, so we ran. We have a couple tests. They're kind of still failing because we don't have access to setting the secret. So that's kind of one of the things we're going to be working on, is setting secrets, making sure that they work correctly. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. And there's a couple things we need to make sure that it works correctly. So after we're done with adding support for tokens, we are going to jump into just integrating to this endpoint here to be able to get the total number of subscribers that we have so far. And maybe at the same time, we could also update the overlay to show the latest subscriber, because it also gives us that information. So we could do the same thing that we're doing with the followers endpoint, and then just getting getting the latest subscriber, and then we could show their name as part of the overlay too. So that's kind of what we're gonna do as well. Okay, so for now we are just gonna jump here. So yeah, again, we're missing our secret. So we need to add that to our configuration file, because right now we're not asking for that information. So we have to do secret string, and we're gonna have to do some error handling here. Okay, we're gonna do it here. So we are going to check that we have our secret. So we are going to take our secret. So the secret itself is going to be used for accessing the information that we need. And then from there, we are going to use it to check if the secret is present, which is the one that we have over there, and just a couple of things after. But first, I need to do something else. Okay. So I am going to add a check. Secret. And then if it's empty, we are just gonna return our error message, which is just saying that the secret is missing. And that's pretty much it here. And then when we create our client and we were pressing the configuration to it, we just have to add the secret. So here we are gonna do secret. And in this case, we just want this to be the secret. Okay, so we now have that as a secret. Yes, I messed up. Yep. Okay, and then we could just go here, and we're gonna run our test here. Okay, so the issue now is that we are not setting our token in the API when we're making the request, so we just have to make it. Use it. So here we need to pass client secret. If it's not here, so I have to add it here too, which is just gonna be part of here. So okay, and then here we can now access it by going here to an API secret. Oh wait, it was already there. Let's see. Okay. Then we could rerun our test. It's still failing. Didn't finish saving. Let's see. Nope. So we're not passing it. So I just have to make sure that we are. So secret. Query params. Oh, it's not being set. So we need to set it here. That is the missing piece. Let me spell secret. And then there is an error where it's the API should. Okay, so the redirect API is now having issues, so we just need to figure out where is that by request. So by request is we had to make a lot of changes here. Well, it's calling the API directly because we want to just emulate a by request, so that's kind of why it's like hardcoded. The configuration is not being reused. Like some other tests, the configuration is being reused. In this case, it's not being reused because of how hard-coded we have it. Okay. And then secret is missing too, so we just have to update that one too. In by request. Okay, that's good. So now we are passing our and we're getting something back from the API. No, it's not wrong. Okay, so we are getting a response back. So here we are getting back. Where are we getting back? Need to do this anymore. Now, why is this empty? Did I not format it? Yep. So we are not the JSON parser is not working correctly because I just didn't do the fields for this structure. So you just have to go through it and make sure that the types, so the fields match the one that we're expecting from the JSON struct. Sorry, not from the JSON struct, the ones that we're expecting from the response from the server. Okay, so we have this one here. Yeah, that looks good. And then we are gonna introduce our Golang file checking. So we could just reuse this. So here we are gonna say and we pass our structs or response, sorry, requests, and then we pass test. So this function was that test compare Golang files was something that we built in one of the streams. It lets us just pass a file name as the first argument, then the value of whatever we were doing returned, and then our t. And then the way it works is it goes into it marshals the response that the value that we pass to it. Then if there's an error, it's going to turn an error. If we pass a update flag to our test, so if we do, so first we're gonna run it like this, which is gonna fail because the file is missing. Did I not include? Oh, I think I'm missing JSON. I need to include JSON. Yep. Okay, so the way it works, it goes and looks for a specific file. So yeah, JSON that should. Oh, but we create a file on our test directory and we call it off token JSON, and then we rerun it. It's gonna fail. Wait. I think I have to add more information to it. This is kind of test data. Yeah. Okay, so you run it again, and now it should work. Yeah. So it fails because the file is empty. So if I do dash update, it's gonna pass, and then if I rerun it, it should pass now. So we're comparing whatever is being returned by our API. So whatever this is returning here, the auth user, whatever is also being returned, we are then saving it to a file, and then if we pass the update flag, and then if we pass the update flag, we are going to read the file, and we are going to then compare the bytes from what we got to versus what we want, and what we want is in the file. That's kind of the way that it works. It comes pretty handy because you don't have to do the comparison yourself. So at the end of the day, we're comparing two bytes. So if you turn it back to stream, it's gonna be two streams with the JSON with the JSON representation of what we're expecting. So that's kind of what that did there. So this looks like it's kind of working. Okay. So we could get the user by the code, so we just have to try. But I forgot to get water, so I'll be right back. I don't have a water bottle here. So I'm gonna run a quick break, add, and then I will run back. So I'll be right back. So we left off. I think we left off trying to. We were gonna test this. So let me. Okay, so we are gonna test this to make sure that it works correctly, directly with the Twitch API. But to be able to do it, we have to craft the URL, and then we could use that URL to get the token. So first, I have to edit our configuration, and then from there we could start. Yeah, we could start building some of these things. Give me a second. So the configuration itself has a secret token and a client token. So I'm trying to avoid having that shown in the stream, because then I have to go back and reset them again. Okay, so there is the secret, which we will not be able to see. And then we need to check how the URL is formatted. Let's go back to our endpoint, because that will be the most important part. So we have a API endpoint, and the API endpoint is the one that's going to take it's the one that is going to handle most of the code. So if the code is missing, it's going to return bad request. So if you go to localhost API of the Twitch reply with an invalid response. Yeah, so it's hitting the real API, so we're getting that. So I'm gonna do part of the authentication locally, and then I'm gonna set it. I'm gonna set it as part of a. How can I make this without having me to reset it every single time? Like if I show in the stream. It would be cool if we could do curl requests through it. Okay, so maybe I could just edit my .dot files from here. From this, so I have a second editor. So I'm gonna edit my .dot files from there, and then I'm gonna add. Yeah, I'm gonna add it as a value, as a global variable in my .dot files, and I could just reuse them later on. So we could do that in a nice, easy way. Okay, so we are gonna just go here. So I'm editing my .dot files to add the authentication token. Oops. So we're gonna do export. Ooh, how am I gonna get the access token? That is gonna be fun. Okay. Okay, so we are gonna do some stuff. So we are gonna create our own URL first, so we could try it out. Then that URL should route us back to. Okay, so you can revoke it. Maybe I should have the revoke. Okay, so we are gonna figure that out. So how does the URL look like? So we're going with this one. let's see. So the type. Okay, so we're not doing that one, we're doing this one. So we need to create this URL. I'm just gonna have this URL being built here. So most of the stream will be that the URL. So anything that has the client, the client ID and anything that has the tokens itself, I will not show it in the stream. So the goal will be mostly to just like just see, like I want to be able to get a token, and then when we get a token, I'm able to start making requests. And when we're able to start making requests, I will just post. I'm gonna just add a token as a configuration for our service. So that means that when I have the token, I might just write it to a file and then read it from that file, so we could continue using it without having to like reveal it in the stream. So that's kind of what it's gonna end up looking like. So now I just need to do some stuff here to see if it works correctly. If it works correctly, I won't get a token right away. But it's gonna be a good start. Okay. We are gonna use this URL. And the scope that we want is channel. Then we have to go back here, and type that we want is token. So again, I'm gonna probably make a button that is part of the app, which automatically generates this URL. So what I got back was not what I expected. Client ID, redirect URL. Oh, how do I not get? So I got this response. Okay, so if I generate a state, I could then get it correctly. So the issue was that I just ended up getting it. The response I got back was the fragmented one here. So I want to get the one with the query param. And it looks like to get the one with query param, you have to pass the there. Huh. So I'm still getting the oh, I need to change it from code to from token to bear, and that should do it. I didn't do what I expected. where is it adding it? So it's not doing what I expected. Instead of getting, so let's see. So this is what we got. Sorry, yeah. So we got, if you're, let's see, code, client ID, and then the URL, and then the scope that we want. So for some reason, I'm not getting what I'm expecting. I am getting like a weird one. So I wonder if I just ended up. Oh, I'm making a request to the wrong place. Maybe. Let's see. Nope. I'm just gonna take this one again and just like build the URL. Again, it will be a lot easier if I just build this into the app itself. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do probably next. Is just add a button to. If you go to here, there will be a button. Then that you could press, and when you press it, it will take you to the right place. Because the issue that's happening now is like it's not really working correctly because I'm building the whole thing myself. So I'm building the whole query parameters manually, and I think I'm missing something from it. So the error that I'm getting is that there is no code. The code itself is not being passed correctly. So okay, that worked. So I have to restart our overlay server because, oh, but I have the secret. Oh, it's not being passed anywhere. So I just need to make sure that I start passing the secret to where it belongs. So the secret is missing from here. I added it to the configuration already, but I didn't add it. I was not passing it correctly, so. And then we should go to starting now. Yeah. And then I'm gonna just get the token again. Wait, am I printing the token somewhere? I am printing the response. Let's not do that. I could save it to a file. Let's do that. So that I could save it and then start using it again. So let's save it to a file. So let's just go to our task and we can check how we save to a file. Okay. So we are gonna take some of this. So we're gonna do, if we get a response, we're gonna do error. Is error, and then here we are going to just turn it into JSON again. So we are taking whatever our wrapper is returning and then turning it back into JSON. And then we are going to check if there's an error. Here we are just going to lag it. So we're just making sure we're handling our error. And now we are going to use we're going to write to a file. So we are going to write to, let's see. So the file name, access token JSON, and then we are going to as our data, and then we're gonna give it a permission of 644. Wait, does it only return an error? Yep. Okay, and then if so here we just want to return and also return a CP error back to the client. Oops. And then we are doing status return a server error. So we're gonna reuse that and do the same thing here. Okay, so I think I kind of got it now. We don't want to try fail error here because if we do, it's just gonna kill the request. So here we are gonna say fail to create file with, and then we pass error. This doesn't make sense. So the goal is to, if we're gonna get a request from the Twitch API, so we are gonna get our thank you for the reminder. I'm trying to avoid it. You see here how I didn't do it? Okay. So we don't need this. Yeah, we did talk about it. So it's a bad habit to kick. Failed. Yeah, so failed. Now I'm gonna create just Marshall. And then in fail to create a file, fail to create file with. Oops. Okay. And we don't want to do this. I'm still working on it, Frank. It's gonna take some time to get used to not having the space, but if you catch me doing it, tell me. Okay, we're gonna go back here. And then, okay. We are gonna just make another request to the Twitch API. Okay, so it looks like it was successful. So I just have to find now our token. So we now have an access token, the refresh token, and this version for it. So in a bit. So we are, I'm gonna then set it as a variable. So we could make some requests to it and test it out. One thing I like to do with APIs is just do curl requests. But the hardest part is just how do you do, oops. I am messing up a lot this file because I am trying to do, so I'm using I'm not using BIM, I'm using Atom. So now I am struggling because I am doing I'm trying to exit insert mode, which there is no exiting insert mode. So I'm gonna reload. Okay. And then what we need to do here is we need to build our own requests. Okay, and then we need to get our channel ID, which is somewhere. Oh, I know where it is. Okay, so X4, yep, it's right here. So we are going to take this request and we're going to change here. First, we need to use double quotes. So we have channel ID. Then here we have, I called it, what did I call it? I called it Twitch access token. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna put it here. And we need to change this to double quotes. Yeah, I usually use Postman too. I just don't have it set up in this computer, but I usually use it too. But the thing with Postman, I'm not sure how it handles secrets. So it's not one thing that I haven't looked at. It's like I'm able to hide the secrets by just using global variables in the terminal, environment variables. I have this somewhere. So what did I call that? But yeah, I sometimes use Postman too. But I use it a lot. We used it internally for my last job too. Okay, there's a quote somewhere that I miss. Oh, I see it. Yeah, so for Postman, I haven't really, most of the time it's like internal stuff, so I haven't had to deal with handling secrets. Wait, what am I missing? Oh, I know what. This weird thing that I'm doing. Give me a second. It's because I'm not creating new lines. The way I copied and pasted it directly from their documentation doesn't really work correctly. So let's try this again. And now I have a quote somewhere that is missing. Oh wait, I moved. Oh, this is okay. I don't need this. And I need to get rid of this backslash here. Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna build it myself because I'm not sure which one is the one missing. So we have our get requests. Single quotes, double quotes. Yeah. We don't need that one. Curl. Badges. This is API. That's a user. Oh, my client ID change. Let's go find that. Oh, this is not gonna be on. Oh wait. I just need to open it. I need to open my home directory and find there's like I have a local file that I use for keeping secrets, and hopefully that's not the one. Okay. The thing that happened was a while back I showed the client ID also as in the string, so I have to reset it completely. And I never updated my local setup to do it. Okay, so we make the request, so that's working correctly. We have a handy Python type that we like to use. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now we need to change our endpoint to just use channel. So changing this to channel. Wait, is it channel? It's usually user. It's kind of confusing because they use channels and users interchangeably. Okay. So if the token that we have works correctly, I'm able to do channel and then pass a second header. And we need that, and then we need to go back and find how that looks like. So it looks something like this. And we don't need that one, so oh wait, it says that I don't have to pass the ID. So the one I'm looking at doesn't have to pass the ID. So I have channel. Do I have channels? I do have channels. Oh, that's the issue. It's supposed to be channel. And I'm missing. I need to increase my tokens. So the token that I have doesn't have access to reading. It only has tokens. Wait, I could read the subscription though. So let's try that. So I know my channel ID already. So channels and slash channel ID, and to get subscriptions. Wait, no, but I have that one. I really have that one. I don't know. Wait, what scope do you give? Oh, that is why. Okay, so I need that, and I also wanted just ask for more. So I'm gonna update my token and ask for more settings. I have more access, so I want to read the channel too. Okay, so I just updated the token. So this is kind of, we need to tell the Twitch API which what kind of access we want. Yeah, that will be the scary part, right? It's like if you hover over it, it's not going to show. In the case of the terminal, unless I print it incorrectly, it wouldn't show. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to request multiple. Unless there's a way to turn off the hover. Okay, Let's see. View your channel email address string key. Ooh, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to use. Let's see what this one returns. So if I do get channel, it's gonna return the language of the broadcast, the logo, and my string key. So I cannot really print that. So we are gonna go back to our JSON file. So I'm just gonna check. Also, I'm not sure what if the maybe this one here might return too much information too. So it returns their plan. The user returns. It doesn't return their email. That's good. I'd be afraid if it did, because then we cannot use it in the stream, and I will have to find something else to do. Okay, so we are gonna do this again, and it's gonna. Wait, I do have the access token now. Oh, I did not reload my file. Variables. Okay, here we go. Okay, and we could limit how many we get. So we are gonna say give us only one. Okay, so our last subscriber is myself. The order. Also, we have the total subscribers too, which is nice. So that's kind of what we're gonna use. But we also need to keep track of. So there's the total, but also the latest one, because we want to keep track of. So I don't know why I did that. But we want to keep track of the latest subscribers, so we could add it as part of the overlay too. Okay. Wait, why is he giving myself still? Oh, I have messed up this. Okay, cool. So we have a latest subscriber, and then we could use that information to so we could start creating a new endpoint. Sorry, a new. Yeah, so we're gonna create a way. We need to figure out a way to save the token for us to access it later on. Maybe we could force it. We could make it part of the call that you have to pass a token. Let's just try it out and see if. So let's say that we want to add. We're gonna add a new function into our channel. So we have channel. Oops. Channel. So in channel we have followers, and you could return the number of followers that you want. Okay, so Frank doesn't come after me. I'm gonna remove these extra spaces here. I couldn't find an option in Postman to disable the over. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Okay, so that is his space free. Okay, so the issue that we have now is, do we make the color pass? So the thing that happens is that our token expires after an hour. So the thing I need to figure out is, do we make the caller pass the token every single time for the endpoints that need authentication? Sorry, so anything that needs authentication, we will just ask them to pass the token. So if you do channel and we do subscribers, and then here we need to get access token, which is a string. Then we need a channel ID, which is a string, and we need the limit because we are going to set limit to it. I think this is okay. Like, again, the token expires after 60 minutes, so whoever is making the request should figure out how to refresh the token. So one of the things I'm going to add is a way to refresh the token. But for now, I'm just gonna do I'm just gonna add the way to get the subscribers so we can start populating in the overlay itself. And then we could figure, like, we would need to figure out how to, if since the streaming, most people streaming for more than an hour, the token will expire, and that means that we would never be able to get the when a new subscriber subscribes to. Okay, so I'm been wondering if I could. Most of these are looking exactly the same, so. I think it even looks exactly the same. So the information that we get. Oh, the only change is like instead of followers, oops, that is not a token, but instead of followers, we get. I'm in the wrong one. So instead of followers, we get subscriptions, which is the only change. But everything else, I think, is the same. It's like the user name, user type, and their username. Okay, so in this case, okay, so this function, our endpoint is working correctly. The thing that we're gonna do now is that we need to save. So we have to save it to cache too. So that's kind of what we didn't do. But we could handle that later. So the idea will be to do, so we have a in-memory cache. So for that given time, if we have a token in memory, we could just reuse that token like over and over again. And then we're also going to save the refresh token. And then the thing we need to figure out is the refresh logic. So whatever calls the refresh logic, we will have to figure out how to do it. But for now, we are going to do handling of not refresh logic, but getting this. So now we have the token. Since we have the token, we need to move on to getting the subscribers from the API. So we are gonna. Did I save? Yes. Okay, subscribers. So this endpoint here is going to return subscribers, and we will have to create a new structure for it. So type. So for the subscriber, we have total, which is an integer. Then we have subscriptions. And we're not building a full-blown client for the API for the Twitch API. The goal of this is just to give us enough data so we could populate the overlay, right? So we don't really care about the IDs or the subscription type. If it's a GIF, we don't really care if it's a GIF, because we only want to show the latest subscriber and the count. So we have, as long as you have the count and the latest subscriber for the overlay, we don't need anything else. So this is a slice, and this is subscriber. Or in our case, I think we could just reuse user info. Let's see if we could reuse that one. This would be nice. Where is user? So for the VOD itself, the token itself doesn't expire. That's the cool thing about the token is, so the VOD that is running right now, it doesn't expire. So the special token that is getting, it never expire, which is kind of interesting. But if you do a, I guess it's because of the app that they use to build the token. So let's see. Yeah, so I use this app to generate a token. So it doesn't expire. So that's it's kind of weird, interesting that it doesn't expire. But since I'm not able to use this token for anything but off. Sorry, for anything but to connect to the IRC client. Um, so but no, this one doesn't work though. So I wouldn't be able to take this one and start using it for gain subscribers and things like that. This one will be just get access to the chat. That's kind of the only token you kind of get. So that's kind of the suggestion that they do here. And there is no explanation like. Yeah, so like that's kind of the token that that one gives you is chat read and chat edit. But for some reason it never expires. So as part of the configuration, I'm just asking for that token. And when so I need to start building the documentation, right? And as part of the documentation, that will be in it because I left it out. Okay, so user info, which is user. Yeah, so I think we could reuse user info. So user info is what we're going to be returning back. So we're going to return, we're going to return user info and an error. And I think that has all the things that we need. Yeah. And oh. Cool. So we have the access token, we have the ID. I wonder if I could just reuse most of this. Probably not. It's just gonna look exactly the same too, which is the only bad thing. Oh, the other bad thing is that we are not setting a access token here. So we're not setting an access token here. So I wonder if it's worth making it take headers too. So we are adding headers by default, but we're not adding anything else. So we need to pass the access token here. We could internally store it, but that's kind of weird. If yeah, let's just would I want to pass it? So for context, I'm thinking of one way to do this that I was thinking about was doing something. So the token itself is here. The only issue with this solution that I'm going to show is that if there is multiple clients acting on this using the API, it's not going to work correctly. And the reason it's not going to work correctly is because each client will be able to override the other. Sorry. So let's say that you have two Go routines, they will be able to override the access token themselves. So every time if two of them call them with different tokens, they will be able to override it. So we will have this wouldn't work, but the idea was something like this. But this is just a race condition waiting to happen. And then in here we are going to just still see that access token. Then the worst thing here is that it's just going to overstep, and it's going to go, yeah, it's going to overstep. So it doesn't really work that way. So we could just pass another map. So we could pass one that just says the headers. And then for anything that doesn't need it, we could just say it as nil. So no, it is for one of the API endpoints. So it is for the Twitch new API. Where is it? Nope, it's not that one. So for this API is just oAuth. which is weird. And then for the new API, because there's two APIs right now. There's a new API and the new API. Okay, how do I request? Nope. So the documentation for this one is not too good. So for this one, where's channel? So for this one is there, yeah. So we're using the old API because if you use the new API, there is no way for you to get the total subscribers. You have to calculate it yourself. Where is the totals? Wait, where is it? Yeah, so for this one, it returns. Oh, that's not the one that one. But we're getting close. Good. No. Maybe it's not, they don't even have one that returns the subscriptions. Oh, let's see, subs. Yeah, there's not one that just gives you like, give me all the subscriptions. So I have to use the old API. I think at this point, I should just create a struct that has all of this information. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, so maybe it's time for a struct. So I'm gonna have to refactor some of the code here, but at the end it's gonna make it clearer. Then I could start adding more things, and I have to worry about, oh, how do I make this backward comparable? Okay. And then here I could just add headers, and which is a map. Okay, and we are going to change this to take a so we are going to, let's just make it handle everything. So let's take this here and put it here, and also do method, which is a string. So now we are going to do request and request. We need a pointer of that, and we could change these URLs, some of these things. So instead of URL, because URL, we're just gonna call it URI, lowercase URL, and then we just have to start just request that URL, then request that query params. This is gonna make it a lot easier for us to be able to handle adding new things, because after a certain point we just couldn't keep cramming query params, sorry, arguments into that method. And then request that body. And wait, I might have missed something. Let's try building this because that error doesn't look helpful. Okay, so wait, what? Okay, so it's just freaking out because of most of the changes I did. So let's go fix some of these things. Let's comment that out. Let's go back here and make some changes to this. Okay, so do I want to keep using this? Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right, because I'm overriding it. That happens a lot. Let's just call this. Wait, I should just rename this to something else. Thank you for that. And then here we are just passing that there. Okay, so that will help fix that error. So we should be able to compile it. Now we should just go back up and turn this into using our new struct. So oops, it might be better to just do return, see. Yeah, it's weird that it's not very helpful, right? It should be more like, oh, I think if I have run go bad, it will have given me an error saying that I'm overriding a method, sorry, a value, but it doesn't do that. Okay, so method let's get half equals plus well then oh sorry, that is the URL. Path is just path. And okay, so that means that this, yep, at least we're not doing it in JavaScript. At least we get a error here. I think I will have wasted like an hour trying to find that out if I was doing JavaScript. It's like, wait, why is it not working? Or we might have deployed, if this is a production service, it will probably be in production by now with that same error. No kidding. Okay, so we have the body is just body. And then URL. Yes, request URL. Again, we're just making these things backward compatible. Then path path. And query. Query params. Okay. And then we just have to back here. And I'm gonna comment this one out because I want to make sure that we didn't break anything with those changes. Okay, so that is working. That means that, so since we're checking the params that we're sending to our test Mac server, it looks like the change that we just did didn't break anything. So here, so these changes allow us to do something like building our own requests, so, and setting our own header, but that's not managed yet. So I want to make that managed. So here I'm just gonna do for key and value range, press that headers. So we're just gonna loop through the headers and just do HTTP the request header dot add. So we're just gonna add our new header. So the key is the key of the header and then just the value. And then we could just take this. And we could go back to wait, where is it? Okay, so here I'm just gonna do so we just have to build the path. So these are the different paths we're going to be using. So followers, and I think that I don't know, I'm going to put it here because we're not reusing it. So we could just go back and just so it's subscriptions. So the path is sorry, channel channels. Then we put the channel ID. So let's go back to subs. Not what I want. How am I building the path for the other stuff? So, it's just path, the ID, and then sub. So we do path, then the ID, then we do subscriptions. Make sure that we don't spell it. Also, it's weird because like when you do followers, you get the followers, the newest followers first. But when you do subscriptions, you get, there is no standards here. When you do subscriptions, you get the subscription that you get the older subscription first. I would expect you get the newer ones first. So we do channel path and then channel ID. Okay, so that's our path, and then we can start building requests. So request equals request then query params, which is a map of strings. And we need to pass limit. Oh, it's pretty much the same as this one here. So I'm just going to take this one. So limits. The other one that I'm just hardcore is the direction. So the don't need to change the direction. We always want the newest ones first. So I'm just gonna hardcore that one to descending. Descending. Okay, and then here we also have to do the headers, which is also a map of strings. I could just build these things inside of the. Let's try that. Let's see how that looks. So. And then we do the same for headers. So we do path. This is our path. Oops, I didn't do that one. The method is gonna be a get request. Okay, so we have a get request. Path. And the header. So headers, which is a map of strings as well. And we just have to build the access. Let's just go here. Okay, so the key is off. And we are going to use this here to join it together. So we have off and then space here. Okay, and here we are just going to put our token. I think we're missing the URL. That's the only thing we're missing. And the URL comes from the API, so it will be URL t.api the URL. Okay, then we can just do we're gonna get a response, and we're gonna get an error, and we're gonna do see that API that on the request, and we just pass our request to it. Error. Oh, new line. Nope, don't need it. We're gonna return nil, and we are gonna return. We are gonna format our error. So okay, cool. And then we have to take our response. So here we are gonna defer request that body close. Okay. I believe the next one is to get everything. So let's see. I think I'm using IO util. Yeah. So I'm just gonna take this here. Okay, so now we have a response, so I need to change the here. Then we're gonna unmarshal it. And marshal, we need. Oh, dude, is that open source? I was thinking. So I had this idea. So for a long time, I wanted to look into what it takes to build a simple gaming engine. So like rendering some graphics and not real like a real engine, but more of like building like the necessary components to just like draw something to the screen, into the screen. And I kind of debating if I should do it in Go, just because I don't want to deal with Seagull or unsafe pointers. Uh, but if you have any suggestions, because also like to even draw something to the screen, like make a window. If you're trying to build a GUI in Go for Windows or for pretty much for anything, you have to do unsafe pointers, I think. Why are you building in Windows that you need to access it, do system calls there? Oh, I see. Is it like a driver? Like, is it all legacy app like some kind of driver? So this string might turn at some point into a learning C++ string. It's like, instead of Go, let's learn C++ because I want to build a gaming engine. Oh, yeah. That would be a lot of help. Even like for hiring too. Wait, how will you write tests? Let's say if you're writing tests for testing on safe call, like how will you go around about it, right? Because if you're testing system calls, how will you fake? So it's like it's easier for me to fake like HTTP calls and like anything that is like TCP or UDP, but how will you mock API like system calls? Do you have to like you kind of have to build your own wrapper around it? Ooh, yeah, doesn't sound like fun. I don't know. It's life saving. Don't you want to write tests for your if you have a bug and you find a way to reproduce it and you write a test for it? So I am guessing that that huge legacy app that you're talking about has no tests. I don't believe in debuggers. I believe in print statements. There's a talk. Let me see. There's like a whole talk where Rob Pipe just goes on about debuggers and like how print line is the future. I can't remember. I think it was like a YouTube video. I'm looking for it. Yeah, I think that's kind of why. I think yeah, it's very easy to write a test. So I wouldn't see why you wouldn't go out writing tests. On the other hand, I could see why some people don't write tests in JavaScript. That I find that very difficult. I don't know why, but I find it very difficult. Doesn't mean if tests are already there for JavaScript, I would just use it. If they're not, I probably wouldn't use it. It makes life so difficult. Okay, so we are going to add a new test for our game subscriptions. So okay, so okay, so I just save. Oops, I gave it the wrong file name. Okay, so I'm gonna write a bit of a test here. So follows. So I cannot reuse this, but I could just I'm gonna have to I could copy it and make some changes to it to make it work correctly. But it's pretty much the same, almost the same test. I said that also the output information is different. So let's do get person. I only found them useful if I want to reproduce a bug, right? Because you could try to match data. You could try to reproduce the data and just feed it to the test and see if the bug is reproducible or not. That was kind of one of the cool things. There was a project that I worked on that pretty much all the bug reports ended up as a case, as a bug case, as a test case. And the goal was like, well, every time we could stop regressions from by just having all the bugs as test cases, which kind of works some days. Sometimes it didn't work at all, but I agree with you. Like if I'm able to start, if there's no errors, then it just works. Okay, and we want one back. That's kind of one thing I had to. So on my past job, I had to explain to some of the engineers that, hey, if you write Go and you don't write your test right away, you have to rewrite your everything again to make sure that you're able to test it. There's times that if I don't start writing tests right away, I will have to go back and rewrite it, which is kind of a bit too much sometimes. But yeah, sometimes it get very messy. I agree with you. Like when that's kind of why I avoid, like there's this whole thing of getting to 100% test coverage, which I think it just makes things even worse because you start testing things that you don't have to really test, right? Because the language itself is handling it for you. Or the only thing you don't really have to handle it directly. You just have to pass the error that it returns back. So there is also people use Kubernetes as a way to do their like design patterns, and Kubernetes is not the best code base to do that. It's just so messy and so big and weird. So they have this thing where they use a lot of interfaces because of testing, right? It's like since they cannot test like different APIs directly, they just mock and they just feed up the interface. So for me, it's like right now the way I'm doing testing is that I am using a Mac server, but instead of using a Mac server in Kubernetes, most of the Kubernetes projects they use Mac interfaces. Hey, Asara, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Asara? But yeah, it gets a little troublesome to test certain things. Cool. How's it going? We are almost done. We finished our authentication. So we are just finishing up. Just adding some tests for getting the channel. So we are almost done implementing some of the things that we needed. Okay, so we have a test for that now. And should be passing. Cool. Now the real test is going back to our API server. API call, not server. And I'm gonna change this a bit. to so right now we're saving it to a file, but in reality we're gonna save it into our cache. But for now, because I wanted to get access to it, we were saving it to a file. Okay, so we don't need these things anymore. We are gonna just use this, and we're gonna say this is probably not a good idea, but we're gonna say API. So subs, and then error, and we do API .twish, and we're gonna do a channel which has our channels. Then we're gonna get our subscribers. We have to pass. One cool thing that we could start doing is we could get a channel ID. So right now we have to pass the channel ID ourselves. But since we now have support for authentication, we could hit an endpoint that gives us a channel. So this is the channel ID. I think I just need to put one there. For now, I'm gonna print these things. Yeah, so right now we need to ask the person to give us their channel ID, but because we now have a way to do authentication, we could pretty much just get a channel when the client first starts, right? When we first get authentication going, we could set the channels for the person, the channel ID. And then error. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm gonna take the terminal out of the string, so in case it throws a humongous error and it has the access tokens in it, because that happens sometimes too, where you're like, oh, this shouldn't be bad, and then the Twitch API returns the token back. So what I'm testing now is just a way to, I'm gonna authenticate against the server. Oh. So maybe that would be the next thing. Yeah, I have to make this a lot easier. Okay, so let's see what it returns. Okay, so it didn't really return much, but it didn't get an error. We did get back. So it's a pointer address. So we have an address to a pointer, but we have 13, which is the amount of subscribers we have. So that kind of the information that we need, right? So the information that we need is the number of subscribers, the total number of subscribers, and then the latest subscriber. So I believe that's the latest subscriber we have there. But we could make sure. And then I'm gonna save the token into the cache too. So let's see. I think I set up a cache that access code. Thank you. Yeah, we are gonna break 100, and then when we break 100, there I will start working on a Discord channel. Okay, so that means that we are caching our 2 keys. For now, it doesn't make sense because we're gonna restart the service a lot. But I just want to make sure that we have the right information, so that we could just do that. I just want to make sure that we have the right information. And then totals. Also, today It's Friday, so we are doing our usual gaming marathon, which just means around 8ish Eastern we are gonna play 2 games, and then most likely stream it. Okay, so this is working correctly. So we are authenticating against the Twitch API. So we're getting the user. Sorry, yeah, we're getting our latest subscriber. So we could start building that. But I do want to build a refresh first, though. Yeah, let's do the refresh. So the issue that happens is even if you have this information, it doesn't really help because we don't have a way to do the refreshing, right? Since we don't have a way to build the refreshing, cool. So we are saving the tokens now. And yeah, since we don't have a way to do refreshing, even if we save these tokens into our cache and we use it somewhere else, after 60 minutes, they're going to be useless, right? So I will prefer if you figure out a way to refresh them. So the next endpoint I will probably do is the one for refreshing the token. We have to use Unicode here. We have to encode it, the URL, because of how weird it is. Okay, so it's just a post request. And we say the grant type. We pass the refresh token. What do we get back? Ooh, I wonder if we could just reuse the same function and just tweak it a bit. So create 2 functions that depend on the same function. So this one is, so yeah, the only difference here is that we have to change the grant type and we need to pass refresh token as a group param, and then we pass the client ID and the secret. And again, we're not trying to implement the whole Twitch API. We just want to implement enough to get the information that we need for our overlay. And another cool thing that this allows to do is to show messages when people are subscribing to the channel too, which is something we might want to add as well in the future, but not now. Okay, so, and again, I am kind of building. I know that there's something like Streamlabs or Stream Elements to do all these things, but it's kind of fun to just build this whole thing myself, especially since you guys are being very helpful to help me write a better Go, which is key here. Okay, so if somehow we could reuse this as much as we can. The only difference here is the call is not a call anymore. It's called a refresh token, and then the grant type is instead is called, wait, blanking out. Just called yeah, refresh token. So I need to update the query param, so that will be the only thing. Maybe I could just do like a, okay, let's try that. So let's create a new function. I'm gonna rename this one to off. Oh, let's just copy. Just copy this one. And then I'm gonna rename this to off. It takes a call. It takes a grant type, which is a string. And then I think that's enough. And here return and we pass the code, and for this one we are just passing this as the type. Okay, so now we just have to figure out how we change. So the map itself will change. So if the grant type is equal to this, we are going to add a code to our query param. We are going to do code okay, and we're going to take this off, and we're going to change this to grant type. Okay, and then if the grant type is, what is it, refresh token, then we are gonna just use a refresh token. So and then we just have to try the query param. Okay, I think that will do it. So yeah, the only thing that we're changing. Ooh, good point. Let's try that. Switch, and then grant type. Then case. And then it's here. Good point. Cool. Oops, took too much. Maybe I won't panic. I will just return a error. Return now. Invalid brand. Yeah, cool. And then we just go back to here and test it out, see if we broke anything. Nope. Okay, and that means that we now are able to support a ways to refresh our token. So we could do token refresh or off token, which just takes a refresh token, which is a string. We are going to return a response error, then return API.off. Refresh token, and the type we want is refresh token. So now we should be in a good step, in a good place. Let's run it again, make sure that we didn't break anything, and then we're gonna just write a test for it. But first, let's just steal the response of it. Okay, so this is pretty much the same. So the only thing that's gonna change is the well, the headers that we pass. So where are we? Yeah, so we are going to change this a bit. So instead of we are passing a secret, but we're passing more information. So we need a fake refresh token. Let's just take one of these ones. The issue with the refresh token is that it also includes invalid characters. So it's gonna be interesting. Okay. So there is no code anymore. Let's just refresh token, and we are gonna replace this here. So we're doing refresh token. The grant type is different too. So it's refresh token. Okay, and we're gonna rename this to okay. So now we have a way to refresh the token. Did I forget anything? So we are passing a token and the grant type. Okay, I just need to make sure that the path is the same. Okay, so yeah, the path is not the same. For requesting is different. So the path, oh no, it's the same. Wait, why do it? Yeah, it's the same. That's weird. Okay, we could just set up. And we have to change our response. We don't. Oh wait, before I do that, since we're using a Golang file, I just have to create a new one. Cool. Oh. Okay, so that's kind of the first issue. Wait, is that a issue? Oh, that is not what I expected. It's encoded, so That is, I think that's supposed to be a slash. Oh, is the token is encoded, but is this one returning an encoded token too? Okay, so I think one. No, they're both encoded, so I don't have to worry about it. It just. Okay, I think that we're getting the encoded one too, so we just have to test it out and see what happens. And the way I will test it out is by using our API again. So the test itself is passing, but I'm not sure if what will happen if we just use the real server. So we're gonna try that out. Okay, so good question. Most likely yes. Okay, so I think it, well, technically no, because it's part of the X. But it kind of, because you cannot, like, I think HTTP2 now is part of the standard library. oAuth is not, I think. But here's the thing. The Twitch API doesn't really follow the right standard for their all API. So, for example, it's like they don't call their tokens bear tokens, they just call it oAuth. So if there's, I might spend more time fighting with this package because their API doesn't really follow the right standards. So the new one does, but the old one doesn't. So I would say yes, it counts, but I may end up struggling a bit more than usual to get it to work correctly. To get it to do what I want. Okay. So wait, does this one have to refresh? Ooh, I could look. So one thing that is missing for me is a way for to be able to refresh the tokens themselves. Oh wait, it does have a bunch of them built in already, so it has GitHub. Ooh. What if we just contribute back? Oh, it's right here. Someone already built a Twitch one. Thanks for the water, Karim. Oh, so yeah, it has a Twitch one already built in. So after this is done, I might end up migrating to this one. But yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. It does count. So I'm adding this to my to-do. But we're also close to finishing, so I will continue with this, and then I will end up migrating to this at some point, because then I don't have to maintain it. But it's cool that they have the Twitch one already built in, and over. I didn't think that the over API was publicly available. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's. That's cool. Okay, so I was gonna look at how they refresh the tokens. Refresh. Maybe. Be like, over is on me, guys. Just use this command. So retrieve the token. So I wonder if when they're retrieving the token, they refresh it. They keep the token with the timer. But then, what if I don't want it to expire? Because that would be sad, right? It's like if the token expires, there is a. I'm not sure how long the refresh token lasts for, but that token expires too. Okay, so every time. Oh, and then when it says, do you make a second request or you check this variation for it? Do you know where they use that? Oh. Okay. Trans. So this is the Mac one that they have. So the Go one has a custom one. Oh, right here. That does a test. Oh, and they said the header. So they said the. Okay, so they clone the request, add the token. So I haven't looked at them before. Yeah, I'm not sure what they are. ACP. So I haven't had the need to use these ones before. A round tripper. Oh, so is it like, so the way it will work is this is before the request is sent. Okay, so yeah, so if the request is going to be sent, right? So the way it will work is when you do a do request, it will first do your round tripper, and then your round tripper returns the modify. Wait, it returns a response. Is that right? Oh, because at the end is making itself is making the request. So it. But what if you chain them? Like, what if you have? Oh well, I guess you chain them as part of this here. Okay. Do I want to do that? Yeah. How? But here's the thing. Um, so this only happens on every request. But what happens if if you never want the token to expire? Because the issue that will happen here is like, I'm not sure how long the refresh token lasts, but after a certain point, you won't be able to use it anymore. Which part is not best practices? To like refresh it, to to not let it expire. I see. That makes sense. Okay, so the way it works, if I understand correctly, you're supposed to let the token expire if there's no request being done. If there's requests being constantly done, then the token itself would just be refreshed on every. Well, would it refresh on every request, or would it refresh when they expire, when it gets a response like expire? I could just look at the code. When it's close to expire. Okay. I see. This might be the best way to do it. So I will look at it more. I think that will make it. So the thing that I will have to do is I will have to update um, our HTTP client. Let's go back here. So yeah, I will have to make some changes here, right? And then add a round tripper to make sure that um, every time the requests, well, some requests don't need a token, some of them do. So I'm gonna have to figure out like how to know the difference between those two things. And then it returns a T. What is T? Oh, transporter. So it creates its own transporter with the token inside of it, which is the source. And then source that token returns the token. Then you can use clone request, which is, I'm just guessing it's just gonna clone the request. Yeah, just create a new copy of the request. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. So in my case, I would just have to create a new, when I'm creating a new client, right? I just create a round tripper. I would just add it here. Cool. Okay. So the transport itself on those, it's just the method itself that is used. So like reuse it. So right now I don't have any params, but I see what you mean. You could make that. Okay, that's a good point. Okay. And I'm gonna go back here. So I don't think I will have time to implement it today because I'm only planning to stream onto for 6 more minutes. But I will leave myself some notes to look into this. So this is good. So this is amazing because I didn't know what round trippers were, and I think knowing what they are now, I feel like they're super useful, especially since you use them for other stuff too, right? So that's kind of cool. So you could make them to modify requests on the fly. So like, let's say that you are building a some kind of API wrapper, which is what this is, and then you want to be able to like modify the request. You can't do that with these things. Okay, so round tripper. Is there anything else you think should be helpful? Oh, so I have a dark secret to tell you about Prometheus. Let's see, Prometheus. So during one of my jobs, I ended up creating this thing that. So this company was running at least 100 or 200 instances of Prometheus in production. So I ended up creating a proxy that queries multiple Prometheuses. There is a bunch of issues with that proxy. I was only to be used for like it was only supposed to be used for like 2 months because there was another open source project that was doing exactly the same thing, but they were trying to finalize the specs for it, and they were doing some cool changes to Prometheus. One of the issues that I ran into when you're doing integrating to the Prometheus API was there's no streaming. Do you know if the Prometheus API now supports streaming metrics? For a key, so if I give it a tag, can I stream the metric, like all the metric points out of it? Because that's one of the issues. Oh, okay, yeah, that's one of the issues that I was having. Let me see if I could remember this name correctly. Oops, I don't want to save it. Yeah, so we were looking into this solution. There was no way to do proxy. Yeah, so that's what I needed. I needed a way to give a tag, and then from that tag, and a tag in a day range. So I could be like, give me all the metrics for server X as a tag, and then give me back all the metrics that are mid this time range. And this is a project that it was supposed to replace. It was horrible. It used like 30 gigs of memory sometimes when people went out of their way to try to break it. But now if it supports streaming, this is a way. Yeah, I was using the remote API, and then there was a ticket here to implement streaming metrics, so you don't have to worry about bringing all that data into memory. So you could stream pieces of it out of it as you need it. Okay, cool. So I think I'm gonna end the stream there. Thank you so much for. Oh, that's kind of too bad. So I haven't looked at Prometheus for like a year and a half, but I will look at it more maybe in the coming months. Cool. So I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you so much for hanging. Thank you so much for helping me figure out like the best way to do like integrate into like what is the best way to styles for Go, and also like how to structure my code better. And yeah, thank you guys. Mostly appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. So I might find someone for us to raid if there's anyone for us to raid. So I'll be streaming Saturday around this time too. Who should we raid? So let me check and see if there's anyone working on something cool. There was someone writing Go when I started, like when I was started streaming. I wonder if they're still around. Oh wait, we are gonna go write some Python. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Yeah, I'll be on Saturday around 3 Eastern. Yeah, thank you for hanging. We'll see you guys later.